What is a spiritual wisdom counseling session, and how does it differ from, let's say, a psychic or tarot reading? Now, I have nothing against the tarot or psychic readings in general, but there is a huge difference between a spiritual wisdom counseling session and the run-of-the-mill psychic or tarot readings like you might find online. A spiritual counseling session is more in the tradition of shamanistic practices, or for lack of a better term, the medicine man concept in North American indigenous societies. The typical reading from a, quote, tarot reader relies entirely on a subjective view of the pictures and symbols imprinted upon the cards. Now, I repeat, this is a subjective view of the reader. Yes, and it also involves synchronicity to a certain extent. But one of the drawbacks from these types of subjective readings is that there is always the chance for outright incompetency in what the reader might interpret from the symbols portrayed on the cards. If the truth be known, tarot cards were never really meant to tell fortunes, but to be meditated upon by the individual using them as a form of diving into the subconscious mind. Now, these readings might be appropriate for some, depending on circumstances, but sometimes they can do more harm than they do good. But let's put all that aside for now and talk about a spiritual wisdom counseling session. Now, a typical session with myself or any other practicing shaman, medicine man, should always result in a healing either on a physical, mental, or spiritual level. Well, how does this happen, you might ask? Well, it happens through energy and frequency. It happens through a connection with high spiritual entities, sometimes known as spirit guides, guardian angels, or the higher self. But in reality, all these entities, or let's call them vibrational frequencies, are none other than different aspects, levels, and dimensions of your own essence or your own emanation from the source. A spiritual wisdom counseling session employs words, sometimes stories, and frequencies of energy as a trigger to access your own higher essence, which has the best answers available to guide you on your life's journey and higher purpose. Now, the one who facilitates such a connection stands out of the way and allows spirit to do its work in revealing the big picture to his or her subject, or for lack of a better term, client. So therefore, a session might be described as a channeling of sorts. A true wisdom counselor is not someone who picks up a deck of cards, studies them for a while, and then decides he or she is good to go. No, a true shaman or wisdom keeper and counselor is one who has been practicing spiritual techniques for decades, and a lot of times is directed into such a path from birth. So in summation, I would like to say I hope that I have enlightened you enough to see which path is best for you, and I have tried to do this in as little words as possible. So take that into account. If you think spiritual wisdom counseling is something that you would like to experience, please contact me through my email in the show notes, or go to my website, spiritofcrazyhorse.com. This is Roger Thunderhands. Wopila.